The Sisters Grimm podcast is intended for mature audiences only. Please listen at your own discretion. Tiptoe through the window.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
The most notorious serial killer in the nation, the Night Stalker.
The Boston Strangler.
The Son of Sam. The infamous Zodiac Killer.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Get away from her, you bitch!
Welcome to the Sisters Grimm podcast.
How'd you do this? Show you.
I have hella milk mouth. I don't know why. Like, I feel like I have milk voice. Like, hello, Mr.
Well, I'm eating a milkshake, so I definitely have milk mouth.
Well, how are you doing, Mr. Potter? So, welcome to the Sisters Grimm podcast. That was my attempt at an Alan Rickman.
Potter.
Going somewhere, Mr. Potter?
People will think you're up to something.
He's like, LOL, leave me the fuck alone. Look into my eyes and just don't focus on anything else. Anyway, so, welcome to the Sisters Grimm podcast.
This is us.
I'm sitting next to Morgan, and she is sitting next to
Holly.
That's who I am.
It's a weird way to explain who we are.
I don't know, I was trying to change things up, and I did a weird one.
Cool.
So, for a little intro...
So we realized that last episode we said that our next episode was the 50th, but it's actually not. It's the 49th.
We don't know how to count.
Apparently. So,
Numbers
this is not
aren't.
the super special, extra cool episode that we had planned.
It's still super extra cool and planned.
Sure. So, we are going to be talking about
Door County. Again.
Door County is weird, part 2.
But, and like the last time, we talked about, like, hauntings and, like, paranormal shit. And we can never forget Sunar and Trina.
Oh,
I was re-listening to that episode
forgot.
today.
I should have.
And you were laughing.
Doesn't Maria fall asleep in that episode?
No, that's in the ghost episode.
Oh, okay.
No, but this one... That one was so funny. You were dying at Sunar and Trina.
Oh, yeah, I remember
you
that
were
fondly.
like, what the fuck is this, Battlestar Galactica?
Seriously.
So, also...
But before...
Well, yes, before. But, well, one little side note, just while we're still on Door County at this moment in time, just to, let you guys know how weird Door County is. I thought it was interesting. Door County had, within hours of the Great Chicago Fire in 1871, there was a really bad fire in northern Door County, too. And...
Must have been a dry
over
time.
125 people died. Yeah, something must have been in the air.
Yeah.
Fire... burnt
or a bunch of just stupid cows.
Oh my god! All of what if every cow from every state was supposed to do that, and then 48?
It was like that one.
Not 48.
What's that one Chicken Run movie from Disney? It's like that, but with cows.
Sure.
Tuesday, what are you?
It's been for. I don't remember that.
Now? Tuesday is like trying to climb on my shoulder.
She's trying to get into your backpack.
Yeah, that's fine. You can hang out there.
All I remember from that movie is that we watched it at like a church lock-in, and they always said girls are red and boys are blue. Don't make purple. Basically
Gross.
being like, don't get within 5 inches of one another, please.
So before we start with Door County stuff,
we have some recommendations for TV shows.
There's been so much good shit coming out lately.
Yeah.
And since we kind of just talked about, not all, but a lot of kind of crap in the Saw movies, like, let's talk about some stuff that was actually really good.
Oh, like good? Yeah.
Didn't you say you just finished Gerald's Game?
Yeah, I went through, like, a big... So I'm really, like, into movies that take place, like, in the forest, with, like, really big, wide shots. So I watched Gerald's Game, and then I was like, that sounds super familiar. And I was like, oh, I fucking have that... It's just based off a Stephen King novel.
Yes, of course.
And it's really fucking good. It's about this couple, and they go away on, like, a retreat to get their... I'm only floundering because Tuesday is being weird.
Tuesday, chill out.
It's a couple, and they're trying to spice up their marriage, and things go hilariously wrong. And by hilariously, I mean... Ew. And it's terrifying, and the scary thing in it, like, it was so scary, I just turned it off.
There's all these shows that I've been wanting to see, and now that I just bought my brand new 60-inch TV, I'm, like, watching everything, so I'm definitely going to watch that one.
Yeah, it's really good. So I watched It Comes at Night and that movie over the span of a weekend, and it was during Gerald's game that I kept pausing it, because my parents were, like, being super annoying, and my dad's like...
Oh, it was Gerald's game that this was happening
and my dad was like, what are you watching that you don't want me to see? I'm like, what the fuck would I be watching in your living... Do you think I'm just gonna watch porn in here?
Right.
Like, do you think I'm watching... What?
Yeah, what am I watching that I would be pausing?
Yeah, so... Whatever.
Also, we just got done watching what is out there right now of Castle fucking Rock. Speaking of Steven Spielberg...
Stephen King, you dumb.
Do that, Stephen King.
Stephen King. You got really excited. I
was excited. And also, they're just both Stevens to me.
It was an Adele Dazeem moment.
It was a very Adele Dazeem. But Castle fucking Rock.
It's
okay,
really
y'all
good.
know that I love it mostly because Bill Skarsgård's in it. But aside from that, it's amazing.
It's really cool. It's
a
very
Hulu original.
It's not based off of like one of his books, but it is.
It's based off the town of Castle Rock, which is where a lot of things that take place in the Stephen King world.
Yeah, and it's mostly at Shawshank prison.
Yeah, lots of Shawshank right now.
So much Shawshank, but Shawshank now in 2018.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. It has the kid who plays Mickey from Shameless. Love him. He's really good in it. It also has the guy from Roanoke. I don't know his name.
Yeah, it has John Locke from Lost.
Yeah.
And it has Frances McDormand.
Yeah, from American Horror Story as well.
It's
dope.
Who else does it have in it? It's got a lot of really good people.
It's got a lot of really good people in it.
It's got a lot of really good people.
And probably more to come. So, most importantly, something that I think everyone should go watch right now that's on Netflix is this new show called Dark Tourist.
If anyone we talked about Tickled.
Yeah, so it's the same
New Zealander who made Tickled.
Yeah, his name is David Farrier.
David Farrier.
He's New Zealand.
David Farrier.
He did Tickled. So it's really great. It's about this David who is...
It's about this David.
So
it's about this David.
And he is traveling all over the world to weird tourist spots or dark tourist spots all over. So he goes to like Japan, he goes to America, he goes to Europe, he goes to Africa.
But where's the first place he motherfucking goes? Milwaukee.
It's not the first place.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The first episode is Latin America, which is a really good one.
But that's the first one I watched, so I consider it.
But so yeah, he goes.
And
to
shout out
Jeffrey...
to that true crime girl. If this gets to you somehow.
Which one?
I forget what her name was, but you know the girl who goes to visit him.
Oh, her name was.
She'd never been to Milwaukee before. I feel like such an asshole for
Wasn't
not knowing her name.
She Wendy?
She was so cool. I don't remember.
No, Wendy was the lawyer. Right. Was Jeffrey Dahmer's lawyer.
Oh God, that part was.
Yeah, but
goosebumps.
The craziest, at least so for me, we watched the show very out of order. We started, or at least I started with like the 2 American episodes first.
Yeah,
and
me
so
too.
Basically, we started with the best episode first. I think.
No,
we started with.
You haven't seen Stans.
Not yet, but I think it's going to be good. I've seen Europe. So.
Oh right, Joy. We watched that one last night.
Yeah, Dumbo. But the last place he goes in the last episode is in America. It's actually in Tennessee.
And I don't know, but it's been haunting Morgan ever since she saw it.
It's not haunting. I just think it's very interesting that people... Okay, so basically it's defined what this tourist attraction is defined as. Original extreme haunted attraction. And it's also called a survival challenge.
I would say it is an escape room... times a billion.
Holy shit! Yeah,
like escape, like on a continuum of escape room.
But you're not really trying, because escape rooms, they're like there's some like smartness to it.
Oh,
you're trying to solve something. This is literally what it would be like if someone was just torturing you.
Yeah, this would be like if someone was like, "Hey, want to go to Guantanamo Bay?"
It's
and
like
you were
people
like,
who
"Oh my God, yeah,"
want to be tortured because that's like what they get their high from. And it's just very interesting to me because I am someone who likes sitting on, my couch. I like feeling comfortable. I like feeling safe. Like, I love haunted houses, but the thing I like most about them is that they can't touch me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't want anyone touching me.
Like, when I watch my horror, I want to be watching it in the comfort of my own living room, on my couch, with, like, a blanket and, like, maybe some grapes. You know, I want to be, like, feeling cute while it's happening.
Do you want to feel like a Greek
I was eating
goddess?
grapes today. I don't know why I said that.
Do you want someone also, like,
probably
fanning you with a palm frond?
Please. That's not going to be happening to you in this place. So, the place that we're talking about is called...
You get, like, waterboarded.
McKamey Manor.
It's scary.
I also watched another documentary today that was about it. It's called Haunters, The Art of the Scare. It's also on Netflix. So, for those of you... So this guy, I should know his name. It's in these movies, or in these shows, whatever. He literally made this scary house, and he does it because he likes filming it, because... He's a filmmaker. And so you can go online and watch all of these movies. Like, he makes literal movies. But if you're like me, who doesn't want to watch these fucked up, crazy ass movies, but you want to, like, a little taste of what these are about, Dark Tourist is really good, and The Haunters, that are both on Netflix, is really good. But I just want to really quick read to you what you have to do in order to do the McKamey Manor. Because I feel like there's people that listen to our podcast that would be really down to do this.
Okay.
I am not one of them, but I bet you some of you out there want to go to, like, the craziest kind of haunted house you can go to.
Spell it. It's McKamey, and manor as if you would spell manor.
Yeah. Okay, so you must be 21 or older, or you can be 18 to 20, but you have to have your parental.
Our parents wouldn't let us eat fucking cookie.
Don't let your kids do this. You must have completed a recent sports physical. You know, like what you have to do before you go to, like, high school and college and stuff. And you have to have a doctor saying that you are physically and mentally cleared to do this.
Oh, cool. So I literally cannot do this.
You probably shouldn't do this. You have to pass a background check provided by McKamey Manor. You have to be screened via Facebook, FaceTime, or a phone call.
Facebook?
It's just another option people have. You have to have proof of medical insurance. Because you will get hurt during this. Like, you might break a bone.
Well, yeah, but then they also...
You might need stitches.
Well, but if you don't have insurance, then you know that you're like, okay, I just got to pay that out of pocket.
You must sign a detailed 40-page waiver, and you... To even do it, I think he makes you take, like, a 3 to 4 to 5 hour just class of him telling you what's going to happen before you even do all of this. Because it's like a show. He wants it to be like a horror show you're going to.
All of that...
You're a part of it.
All of that sounds worse than the actual thing.
Yeah.
A 40-page waiver? I'm not fucking reading that.
So this is the warning verbatim from their website. Be warned, McKamey Manor is not your standard, in parentheses, boo, haunted house. This is an audience participation event in which you will live your own horror movie. This is a rough, intense, and truly frightening experience. You must be in great health to participate. The website also states that the experience is different for everyone because he bases it around your own personal fears.
I ain't telling him shit about me.
Because in one of the documentaries, he literally, like, has gotten one of his neighbors to, like, he's, like, tricked her to go through multiple times, and so he knows what she's afraid of. And I think she's really afraid of snakes.
Oh,
and so he'll, like, pull snakes out.
The dude from Whitest Kids You Know, Zach Kreger, worked for a place like that, and you would basically sign this waiver, and they would give you a window of, say, a month, and they're like, within this time frame, we're going to kidnap you. So, like,
so scary.
Like, at some point during this frame of time...
This one you walk into doing it.
Yeah, this one you know.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and then there's a safe word, and if you, as soon as you say it, like, there's no going back.
Yeah, there's safe words at this one, too, and they have to be, like, kind of, like...
They say it, like...
They're kind of, like,
humiliated.
Humiliating.
It's really...
Yeah. I wouldn't care. I would say whatever the fuck... I wouldn't do it in the first place, because that's just not something...
I would just be like, tornado, tornado.
I think it's really interesting that
what would your safe word be?
Would do it. I wouldn't do it, so I don't know.
No, but, like, what would your safe... I mean, hypothetically...
Do you want to know what my actual safe word has been?
Ew, during sex, I don't. But, like, what would your safe word be for this?
I don't know.
Pineapple. Is it tornado?
No, it's not tornado.
Is it swordfish?
I said pineapple.
What's your sex one? Tell the whole world. Tell all our listeners.
It was just laundry, but it was never said. It was just joked about.
Laundry? Okay. Cool. Anyhoozle. So, what this episode is not about, but I bet...
I just thought that's really interesting, and people are into it. Okay, Holly.
No. I'm really happy that you talked about that, Morgan.
You don't seem like it.
I was really happy. I liked it. You were very informed. And I think there's going to definitely be people who listen to this podcast that are probably like foaming at the mouth. They have paused and are looking this up right now. They pulled over on the side of the road. So anyways, back to our weird ass Door County. So
for those of you who maybe didn't listen to our first one, Door County is in the peninsula tip of Wisconsin. It's right by Green Bay.
Baby. Yeah, it's right by Green Bay. And the first big town is Sturgeon, where the majority of these murders all happen, basically. And Sturgeon is kind of like the last town, like it's the last major town. It's
the only town that has
as a Target. It
actual
has a
things
Taco
that
Bell,
we know.
You know?
Because actual Door County is all little businesses, except for gas stations.
And a Piggle Wiggles.
They have one Piggly Wiggly and then gas stations.
And then they have this one random ass grocery store that is really cool.
Shopkos are everywhere.
Great. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was.
Sure they are.
I thought it was
throughout Southern Illinois.
I thought it was Pacific to Dark County.
Nope.
Wisconsin. Okay. So anyway,
Wisconsin.
But speaking of that place, that is literally where we came up with the idea for this. Because shout out to whoever these dudes are.
Oh yeah.
Because we talked about last time how there are these haunted tours that you can go on in Door County, but we didn't want to do it that way because we wanted to go Also, I don't like the idea of going on a tour.
I don't love guided tours.
I don't want to go on a tour.
I kind of like doing it myself. Because and you're the same way.
Also, the way I already I know everything, and if someone is telling it to me, I'm going to interrupt them.
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
You are that kind of a person.
I would do that. I'd be like, you're actually fucking wrong. Because they do that in the first episode of Dark Tourist when they're in Milwaukee, and I want to be like, you were wrong, you were wrong, you were wrong, you were wrong.
Because they go to, Jeffrey Dahmer stuff.
And it's, just watch it. If you know anything about Jeffrey Dahmer, or, I don't know. But I'm not saying that it's not cool, and good for them for having a back to
the reason we're talking about Shopko.
Anyhoozle. But yeah, no, I found the
newspaper,
the Door County newspaper, and they were advertising these guys, and they have a new tour called Murder Mayhem.
Literally, the paper just said murder, and we were like, what?
Well, I was like, huh? Well, because you guys were all inside, I don't know, touching each other's butts.
We were shopping.
Right, no. And then I went outside and was reading the article and stuff. So, the first one is from a very, very long time ago.
We did not go on this tour, by the way.
No. No. And I wouldn't want to go, nothing really happened. I wouldn't go to, these houses or anything.
No.
No. So, the first story we have is William Drews and the Death of Mrs. Cody. I got basically all of my information, and a lot of Morgan, too. There's a great website called newspapers.com. Pretty easy to remember.
Yeah, you just literally look up articles.
It's literally just going into a library and reading the microfiche, except it's online, and it's
think of
gorgeous.
In Now and Then, for those of you who've seen that movie, when they go and go to the library and look up old newspaper articles. That's pretty much what it is, but you can do it online now.
It's really decent. So I got all of mine from the Green Bay Press Gazette. Mm-hmm. Shout out.
Yeah, the Gazette is lit.
Yes. So, yeah, all of my information is mostly from this article.
Yeah, mine is too, and, just, court documents in general.
Yeah, so this article was published on April 7th, 1948. The previous day, William Drews, 54 years old, confessed to the murder of 85-year-old Mrs. Sadie Cody.
What year did you say this happened?
1948.
48, all right.
So, on Friday, April 2nd, 1948, William Drews went to the gigantic 3-story mansion where his landlord, widowed Mrs. Cody, lived.
Is this the mansion that you were telling me about?
No, I was trying to find this mansion. Okay.
Oh, and that's how you stumbled upon the other mansion.
Yeah, so Door County, we literally stay in the complete opposite of this house. So I found this house in Door County. It originally was $19.5 million.
It's the most immaculate, gorgeous home.
But, it's a steal now because it got bumped down to $2.5 million. That is a steal.
That's a steal from what
That's
it was.
a steal. It is the longest home I've ever seen. It has 43 rooms. It has a fucking, like, Venetian...
Really pretty bathrooms.
Like, a indoor pool. It's very gorgeous. I would love to stay there sometime. But no, I could not find this mansion. But since William and Mrs. Cody knew each other, he knocked on the door, and she obviously let him in. He asked her if he could borrow some money, but she refused, and that really pissed off William. And he fucking punched her in the face, and it knocked her out, and she fell over. I mean, she was 95 years old, or 85 years old, rather, and weighed about 95 pounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she was a tiny.
Oh.
So while Mrs. Cody was lying on the floor, William found her purse and stole $110.
Dick.
Which is such a small amount of money to kill someone over.
The 40s, not as small, though.
Well, no, even with inflation, because obviously I looked it up,
right.
About $1,000.
Yeah, not worth it.
Nope. While being questioned, William recalled that he heard Mrs. Cody moan a few times before she went completely silent. This is when he confessed. Yeah. He picked up her body, and he carried it to the basement and set her into the furnace. Mm-hmm. He covered her body in coal, turned the furnace on, and cleaned the blood off of his hands. After he murdered Mrs. Cody, William drove to his fiancée, Julie Smith's house, and gave her the $110, and he told her that he got it from selling land to a man named Attorney Ferguson. The next day, the couple drove to Green Bay and got married at a courthouse.
What?
Yeah. After the ceremony, the judge who officiated the wedding told the couple to leave out of a door that was different than the one they had come in, and William looked at him dryly and just said, "I always leave by the door I come in." Because he walked, and I just thought that was scary because, like, he walked out the same door he came in when he killed Mrs. Cody. Huh. So then the couple drove back to Sturgeon Bay to party and celebrated up like all Wisconsin people do, which was
With some beer and cheese.
So much Schlitz and cheese curds.
Yum.
The squeakiest. And so all of Mrs. Cody's tenants were questioned by the police as routine procedure, and even though William was not a suspect, the sheriff noticed scratches on William's right hand. When he asked William how he got the scratches, William told him that he was cutting wood, and he kind of hit his hand with the axe, and the sheriff was like, "That's weird, because you're right-handed, and it would be very unlikely for you to get cuts on your right hand." Mm-hmm. And so also Julie was brought in to be questioned, and she told them that William had said that he got the scratches on his hand while replacing a hubcap.
Okay.
So maybe keep your story... I mean,
yeah,
I'm so glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't keep his story straight.
Yeah, because in the 40s, it's not like they could have tested for anything, really.
Oh, not at all. They didn't even know what DNA was. So Julie also told them about the $110 and how William said that he got it when he sold some property to Attorney Ferguson. But at that time of the murder, Attorney Ferguson was on vacation in Florida and didn't return until 2 days after the murder had been done.
And they could have just asked him if he had actually bought stuff from him, and he could have been like, no.
True, but I mean, like, homeboy was far, far away in sunny Florida.
Right.
So, let's see. William told police that this was the first murder he had ever committed, but after being arrested for murdering Mr. Cody, the police couldn't help but think back to when William's first wife died in a car crash after the car had caught on fire.
Damn.
In 1946, William and his first wife crashed, and William managed to escape, but his wife unfortunately did not, and some believe that William drove the car into the middle of nowhere, locked his wife in the car, and set it on fire. On April 26, 1948, so super quick, speedy trial back then. I mean, they didn't have everything bogged down by, like,
law.
Like everything they have to go through. There's not as much evidence now because of DNA shit, but he was found guilty for first-degree murder. It only took the jury an hour to deliberate before coming back with a guilty verdict, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment because, as we all know...
And that's with literal, like, only... Well, he did confess.
He confessed, and he killed an old woman, and, you know, the jury, especially then, should it be a jury of your peers? I don't know. I think it should be specialists, honestly. Yeah. Because juries, they're gonna think with their emotions. Yeah. And you can't. You literally cannot. You have to think of things unbiasedly. Yeah. And it's very hard. I mean, I'm not saying that I would be able to do that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would love to sit in on a murder trial. Don't get me wrong. That would be...
You could have...
As long as it didn't last, like, for fucking ever. But,
You gave up your... You could have done it.
Yeah, but
It could have been a coolie.
I didn't give it up. I just couldn't go.
True story.
Yeah, but that is an interesting story.
That was the story of William Drews and the death of Mrs. Cody.
Mrs. Cody didn't have a chance. She was a little old lady.
Little widow Cody.
Well,
Beautiful woman.
we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Alright, maybe you should stop playing Sonic, because I just pressed record. Alright, so we're back. Holly was playing...
That was a little bit of...
Sonic the
What
Hedgehog.
is that? What's that level called? Green Hill Zone? A little bit of
Green Hill Zone.
Green Hill Zone.
So we're back to talk more about murder.
We're back to talk more.
So my murder is about a man named David Dellis and the murder of Michael Kasee. So in the fall of 1996, Michael Kasee, who was 15 at the time, was a runaway, and he ran into the wrong guy. So this guy, David Dellis, he was a Green Bay local. He was 37 at the time that all of this was going down. So this guy was 15, the other guy was 36. They were friends. Kind of doesn't add up to me.
No, that's like how John Lee Kasee was friends with people.
Yeah, like, I don't have friends who are like... And not that I wouldn't, but you know what I'm saying? Like, normally...
Well, no.
And 15 is so young.
He was 37. I wouldn't have a friend who was like 12.
Yeah,
and
it'd
I'm
be weird.
30.
It'd be weird.
What do you have in common?
So David, like... So I read this one story, like this article about this kid who grew up in Door County, and he knew David because his dad had lent him plywood because he actually wanted to open up like not a home, but like a halfway house.
Aww.
For like runaways.
Aww.
And so that kind of makes you think like, oh, that makes sense that maybe he'd be with like this younger kid who maybe is like trying to find his way. Maybe he's having a hard time. He's run away from home.
It's a contracting. This is totally a John Wayne Gacy set.
Kind of seems like that. Anyways, I read that story. That's just... It wasn't very informational, but...
Okay.
So this next information basically is just what we have received from David's testimony, his confession. And so... It says that Michael went and was, like, staying with him, but also there's things that people were saying where maybe Michael was being held against his will. So, David says that when Michael was trying to leave, apparently, him and David got into an altercation, and so Michael kept hitting him, and so David, to, like, fight back, like, grabbed him and took him into a chokehold, and so he claims that he was only, like, choking him for a little bit, and then when he let go, Michael just fell to the ground. He thought he was passed out, but he was dead already. But we know how hard it is to strangle someone.
Yeah, so
it's not just like, oh, oops, I accidentally strangled you too hard for like a minute. Like,
you have to be really getting in there.
You have to be really strong.
Well, plus, what is it? Like an arm? I mean, that's like why in wrestling they have to like
tap out,
like tickle the other person's armpit or something weird to like get them to stop, because that'll kill you. Plus, he's how old? In his 30s?
15, yeah.
And 15, I'm sorry, but like he's still growing. He's a growing boy.
Right.
Like, that's really sad.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
So, after realizing that Michael was dead, Dellis says that he stashed the body in his car for, like, a little, and then he drove out and he hid it in some, like, tall weeds near a power plant somewhere.
That's something you don't...
And so...
That's weird.
This all happened in Green Bay.
Okay.
But so now, he goes and he drives to an old, what he thought was, like, empty, broken down farm that's in Door County... to start chopping and dismembering the body. So he has a chainsaw, not a quiet tool.
Not one of the quieter tools.
Chainsawing this man into 36 pieces.
He chops him up into little pieces.
Uh-huh. And so his intent was to chop him up and then burn him.
He's a dumb idiot. You use a fucking hacksaw, you dumb piece of... Or a bone saw,
had, like, started putting him in, like, garbage cans. And they were the garbage cans to these people's house who were living there. And they came out. And so when they came out, he ran away. And they...
And this was 1996.
They found the body parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He disposed of them horribly.
Yeah.
David, bad. David, bad criminal. Deadwood criminal.
So then, after this, he fled to a vacation home in Door County, and he was staying in the basement, unbeknownst to the couple who were living upstairs at the time.
Fuck,
Which
I am
is
so happy.
My biggest fear.
Right, and I'm so happy the cabin we stay in has no
I'm so
basement.
happy that my apartment doesn't have a basement or an attic, because that is like my worst fear.
My apartment is basically...
When you hear those stories where people have someone was living in their basement for like a month and then they
don't
kill
even.
them.
Don't even. I don't have to work. No, that's why I'm saying my apartment is essentially a panic
you're
room.
fine.
I'm in a vault.
There's nowhere anyone could hide that you would not know they were there, at least within a couple minutes.
Even if my apartment was clean. Note how I called
dirty.
it room. My apartment, I have 2 rooms.
Yeah.
I have this room that we're in. I have a hallway. That's a hallway. That's not a room. And I have a bathroom.
Okay. So anyways, about Holly's apartment. That has nothing to do with this story.
All right, cool. I told you I have 3 rooms. I think it's pretty...
Self-explanatory.
I think that's like a really short episode of Crips.
So Dellis, then, he's staying in the basement, but he goes upstairs. He ties the couple up. He burgles them, including their car, which was a truck, and he takes off in it. He then became the subject of a week-long Door County manhunt. He was caught at a roadblock near Bailey's Harbor. He was captured very quickly because, you're on a peninsula in a stolen car.
Well, and to get off of... So, the peninsula basically... Sturgeon Bay is on the other side of the peninsula.
Yeah.
And, like, you have to go over...
But he was...
I think there's 2 bridges.
Yeah, because he was at Bailey's Harbor.
Yeah, we were at 2... There's 2 bridges. Okay, yeah. He was on the further side. Because I came home that one way.
And that's even harder to get back from.
Yeah, and these bridges raise up to let out boats because on the other side is literally Lake
so
Michigan.
if there's a manhunt, they're lifting them bridges.
And he basically got stuck on an island where there's police checkpoints.
So he was caught, obviously. He pled not guilty by means of insanity. However, he later withdrew the plea after 2 mental health professionals both examined him and said that he knew exactly like what he was doing and like he knew what was right and what was wrong. And
but did they diagnose him with any psychological? Did they diagnose him with anything?
No.
He didn't have any sort of psychological mental issue.
Not that they reported, but this was the 90s.
Okay, but I'm just gonna say as a precursor because we did say that our Biggie Big episode is gonna be Biggie Big.
Is gonna be coming up soon.
There's
AKA next.
Yeah, there is an interesting thought. There is something regarding what you just said that I will go into more detail when the time comes.
Until now, that's just a cliffhanger for what's to come.
And it's, yeah.
So he was charged with 6 felony counts. So he was charged with armed robbery, 2 counts of false imprisonment because when you like keep people...
yeah.
Like when you tie people up and don't let them leave.
Yes.
Well, okay, so this is what's weird to me. One of the counts is for armed robbery. One of the counts is for arming himself during commission of a burglary and auto theft, which is apparently a different charge.
2 separate things.
And he was also he was charged for dismembering the body. So those were all the things they knew he did, but what they didn't know is whether or not he had intent to kill. So whether or not he meant to kill him, was it preemptive or was it an accidental? So they charged him with, I believe it was 2nd degree murder because he still was like obviously at fault for killing but didn't necessarily
remember how Wisconsin has those weird hold on because let me look because one of my guys got that and it reminded me of it.
So also like he received guilty obviously, but some charges he got not guilty for, like some of the other like random ones, because he was also like at the time he was up for charges in a different county because I think other things happened in a different county, and he was also had like marijuana charges against him, and in the 90s that was like a big charge.
Yeah,
but anyways,
was it intentional homicide? Because like 1st degree intentional.
Yes.
Yeah, we got into that, and I don't remember.
So he was sentenced to 42 years in prison, and his most recent appeal that I was able to find was upheld. So he's gonna be in jail until 2038.
And that information came from also the internet. I forget which. I think it was the Manitowoc County that I found that article in.
Yeah, in
from
the
Morgan
article,
real
yeah.
quick.
But I also got most of this from, like, literally the court documents, like, what he was saying verbatim, so.
Yeah, no, Morgan and I were real G's
like I
during
said,
this.
like...
We, did our hardcore research.
Well, it's because these were not easy cases. This isn't like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy, like, easy to find shit about. Like, this stuff isn't, like, talked about a lot.
No, I mean, I'd never heard of any one of these murders.
Me either.
And some of them are really fucked up.
We talked about that one that's, like, a little more well-known now. The one...
Oh, the Plainfield?
The pregnant woman. Yeah, the Plainfield guy who killed the woman who was pregnant in Door County. We talked about that one last episode. That's probably, like, the only one people might know anything about.
Yeah, a guy from Plainfield, Illinois, our home... I drive by there all the time.
Yeah.
Very, very small little, like, farm town. He... I forget where they worked, a Best Buy or something, but he, I guess, like, I don't know. But we already talked about the story, so I am going to talk about James Durante.
All right.
So we're also going to take a little blast from the past. We were just in 1996, and now we're going back to good old 1953. Sherry, baby, Sherry. So, again, my information is from the Green Bay Press Gazette.
Yes, Gazette, come through.
Yes, Green Bay Gazette Press, or Press Gazette. So,
sure.
James Durante was only 15 years old, but for a 15-year-old, the article described him as a stocky boy weighing 185 pounds, which, I'm sorry, that's not stocky.
That's not, like, super stocky.
And they didn't say how tall he was.
At 15, it's a little stocky.
I guess. On June 29th, 1953, James killed his next-door neighbors.
Yikes.
According to James's confession, how do you say that? How James, or would you say James's? James' confession or James's confession?
I don't know.
Okay.
James's confession.
James's confession. Okay.
Yeah.
So around 7:30 p.m. of July 29th, rather, he knocked on the door of neighbors Grace, 50 years old, and Sumner, 52 years old, Harris. Ooh. Grace opened the door for James, and once in the house, James immediately started attacking Grace.
Jeez.
He tried gagging her, but she managed to escape, and she ran to the kitchen, tried getting to the telephone. James chased after her and grabbed a knife and stabbed her repeatedly.
Oh my God.
At that point, James said he thought she was dead, but according to the autopsy report, Grace died of strangulation. Police found her with slashes, again, her neck and on her sides and on other parts of her body, but her nightgown was twisted tightly around her neck, leaving her in only her underwear and stockings.
Ew.
Yeah.
And she was how old?
She was 50. And this was in the kitchen, where he said that he stabbed her.
Okay.
So, also police asked James if he had sexually assaulted Grace, and he said no, and the autopsy was able to prove that he did not. Grace, weird. He did offer her the small grace, I guess, of at least not doing that, I guess. I don't know. So, although, like I said, Grace was stabbed in the kitchen, her body was eventually found in the study. But it also seems that James carried the woman's body to the sofa in the living room and set her there because the sofa was soaked in her blood. James waited in the house until 9:30 when Mr. Harris returned from work, which, by the way, is the scariest thing in the entire world to me. Yeah. Like, thinking, like, okay, someone just killed one of your family members, and now they're just waiting for you to come home so that they can kill you.
It's the feeling of, like, it's so uncomfortable to think of other people, like, being in your space with your belongings where you feel the most safe.
Yeah, that's why being burgled
and
is
them having the upper hand.
Yeah. Ugh. Doi, oi, oi. So, much like with Mrs. Harris, when Mr. Harris entered the house, James immediately started attacking him and then tried to stab him with the same knife he had used to stab Grace. The two wrestled with Mr. Harris, fighting to get the knife away from James, but he couldn't, and James stabbed Sumner 44 times. Mr. Harris put up the buck of a fight, though, because when they found his body, along with all of the stab wounds
in his hands.
Well, no, he had a fucking broken leg and his ankle was dislocated. So he was like fucking
fighting.
Hell yeah, bitch.
Fuck.
Poor Harrises, love
pain.
you. I mean, they were smart. Afterwards, also, they were really big in the community. I read a lot of really cool stuff they did. Like, they did a lot of really good things.
Like, at least he didn't come home to find her dead. I don't know what's worse. Maybe it would have been better if he had lived. I don't know. It's
very hard to say.
It really is.
So, afterwards, James went home and wrote a letter to his mother that said, I killed Mr. and Mrs. H. You can call the police and tell them I'm in Michigan because that's where I'm headed.
Well, okay. Well, so stupid.
Well,
what's the point of even leaving?
Well, hold on. So, he changed out of his bloody clothes and stashed them and the knife in between his house and a large rain barrel. He stole the Harris's car, drove from Wisconsin through Illinois, and ended up in Shelbyville, Indiana. So, he probably drove through Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, he probably took 80 into 55.
Mm-hmm. Police found Harris's car abandoned in a ditch outside of Shelbyville, and inside the car they found a suitcase and a glasses case that Mr. Harris had written his name on. So they knew it was his in the right car because it has Wisco plates, obviously, and they knew that the glasses case had been taken from the Harris's home. So while James was hiding out in Shelbyville, he was arrested for vagrancy because police found him sleeping in an abandoned car.
What's vagrancy?
Vagrancy just means, he was a young kid.
Vagrant. Okay, I get it.
He's a vagrant, yeah. He was brought into the station for questioning. The sheriff approached James with Mr. Harris's glasses case and a suit coat that matched the pants James was wearing. But James was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And, they went back and forth, and eventually the sheriff was like, look, bud, this coat matches the pants you have on. Look, sweetheart, you are wearing, literally, the pants you're wearing say, my name is Miss...
You're going to jail.
Yeah.
It's time for jail.
After these claims, James freaked out and admitted to everything. So murderers were very easily shaken.
How old was James?
James was 15.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course you're going to fucking totally admit it when you're fucking 15.
Yeah, obviously.
It's not
hard.
Yeah,
you don't know that you can talk to a lawyer or that you should just fucking not talk at all, but whatever.
And you always just think saying what happened is going to make it feel better.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
You're just,
So, James goes back to Door County to face juvenile court, where he was found delinquent on the murders of the Harrises. Before the police
Seems like a light sentencing.
Yeah, well, before the police had found out that the murderer was only 15, they were going to charge the person with 2 counts of first-degree murder and to be sentenced to life imprisonment. But James didn't go to prison. Instead, he was sent to the state school for boys in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
What?
Uh-huh. And up until he was 21.
So he only went to juvenile court?
Yep. And when...
That's stupid. When I was 14 and I got arrested, I had to go to juvenile court and I had to go to regular people court.
Yeah.
But I had to go to traffic court, so maybe that's different, because it was car-related.
Yeah, it's so different, Morgan. You didn't kill anybody.
Well, obviously.
Obviously.
Kill anybody.
So I could not, for the life of me, find out if he was released when he was 21 or what happened. But what I was able to find out was a little information about the boys' home that James was sent to.
Okay.
A large number of the boys were sent to a different home in 1959 called the New Wisconsin School for Boys in Wales. So it's very possible that James...
In Wales?
Wales. That's just probably Wales, Wisconsin.
Oh, I was thinking like Wales. Like the country.
Yeah, they sent all these boys over
I was like, what?
over to the country of Wales. They wouldn't do that to poor the Welsh.
Right.
So it's possible that James could have been one of those kids. Also, this is just me. My assumption is that James, because he was a minor, maybe he changed his name. His parents seem to be on his side, like... You know, he's 15 years old, so... But James would be 80 years old today, around that time, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that a James Aru is still out there.
Yeah, it could be, but there is also a good chance that he's not.
He's somewhere out there beneath the pale moonlight.
I actually didn't know those words.
So
that was a bummer. That's really sad because, like, when I think of, like, older couples and, like, it just makes me really sad.
When older people get killed, it's very sad to me because they're old. I had 2 older dads. They're feeble. They can't help themselves.
Yeah. It's very sad.
And so our final story of the night. Oh yeah, we're filming this at nighttime, by the way.
Yeah.
So you could be listening to this at the afternoon. I think there is an episode where Morgan talks about all the times of the day.
Yeah, there's morning.
Yeah,
there's
you don't.
There's afternoon.
Fuck off! You don't need to
There's
do it again.
Early evening when you're like, I could take a nap. Then there's like mid evening where you're like, oh, I'm getting hungry. Then there's dinner time. Then you hit nap time. And
you take a nap after din-din?
No.
Anyhoozle. So, last murder. Steve Ozone Owens.
What a power name.
Yep, and just so you know, I will be referring to him as Ozone the entire time.
Good to know.
On the evening of December 24th, 2001, Ozone, 40 years old, and his best friend John Hofner, 36, were chilling at Ozone's house, drinking some bourbon, playing the guitar, smoking what I'm guessing was some of the worst weed imaginable. Ozone probably grew it in a ditch.
Yeah, I can't imagine like Wisconsin weed until maybe like now.
Yeah,
being
and
good.
This was in 2001.
Yeah, it's probably like not the best.
Yeah, so everything, going gravy up until the two started arguing about the events of 9/11, which had happened only a few months prior.
I remember you telling me about this one.
I do not know what the argument entailed. I wish I knew.
So this happened in 2001.
Yeah.
So like
fresh
9/11 just happened. Okay.
I wish I knew. I really wanted to know what side each of them were on. Maybe Ozone wanted to shut up how jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Yeah, maybe the other guy kept yelling about the fact that Bush did 9/11.
Exactly. He's like, there is not a airplane shaped hole in the Pentagon, John. So anywhoozle, Ozone got very mad, and
was Ozone like a professional wrestler on the side?
No, I don't know what Ozone was other than a hot mess. So
I bet you he took jiu-jitsu classes or something like that.
Well, listen,
he had a mohawk. Did you say that he had a mohawk?
No, he just looks like a douchebag.
Okay.
So what we do know, we don't know what the argument was about, but we do know that it escalated very quickly, and Ozone took out his Japanese samurai sword and threatened John.
Ozone's crazy.
Ozone's
that guy that you go to the party with and he punches a girl in the face. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's that guy.
A girl being punched in the face isn't funny, but like...
No, it's not, but we've all been at the party where there's a dude who punches a girl in the face, and everyone's like, what the fuck?
And everyone's like, you just hit a girl.
Yeah, no, but you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
So everyone has a pretty good picture of... Yeah,
that's Ozone.
So...
He only wears cutoff shirts with eagles on them.
Shut up. I think that's what he wore in court.
And so many pocket cargo shorts.
He basically just shot.
And he always has a knife on him because he's one of those guys.
I think you are born with a knife in Wisconsin. I said that about somewhere else, but so yeah, like we were talking, like if it was your friend. So John started laughing because like I would start laughing if someone took out a samurai sword and started threatening. I'd be like, you dumb idiot, put that away.
Right.
And Ozone freaked out and stabbed John in the chest.
How many times? Just once?
Just once, but it did it.
Well, yeah, it was a samurai sword.
Well, yeah.
It was sharp.
The autopsy showed that the blade went in 7 inches and cut his heart and lung, like, in half.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So after...
That's intense.
Yeah. So after he Kill Bill style killed his best friend, Ozone decided to take a little walk in a nearby forest, which I would like to take the time to point out that...
With the... weapon?
Well, no. Finding a nearby forest in Dare County is not hard.
You walk outside, and you're like, oh, here.
There are parts that are very secluded and feel like they're in the middle of nowhere. We're just always up in, like, the summery, touristy part, but there are very desolate areas.
For sure.
Like, some of the places we've stayed, like,
or in the middle of nowhere where there's, like, huge spiders the size of your fist.
Oh my god, I don't even want to talk about that spider. So anyway...
Moths the size of your head.
Moths the size of bats.
Bigger.
Bats. So, police were already in pursuit of Ozone, and when they found him in the forest, Ozone asked the police to shoot him. Oh. And later, the police found that someone had written a message in the snow that said, "You die. I'm already dead. Thanks."
What?
Thanks spelled THAXX. So I'm just assuming that means thanks.
It definitely means thanks. Okay, it could have been a coincidence.
Ozone was 40.
He was 40?
Yeah, and he said...
He was
thanks.
40?
Yeah, John was only 46, or 36.
Oh my god, for some reason I pictured these kids being like 17 and 18.
I'm already dead. Thanks!
Oh, what the fuck?
I don't want to talk ill of the dead, but I'm already dead.
So wait, the police did shoot Ozone?
No, they didn't shoot him. He was charged with first-degree intentional homicide.
Wow.
And was found guilty on July 30th of 2002. So even in the 2002-ish range, it's still pretty... Because it happened that December, so that's about, you know... Ooh,
it's so cold in Wisconsin.
July 30th. And July 30th of last year, we were in Door County. Not that it's that big of a deal. So... Like I said, trials move quick in Door County.
Oh, he had a trial last June?
No, it was in 2002, but last June on the 30th. On July.
July 30th of 2002.
Yes, 7 days have September, April, June, and November. So the defense argued that it was an unfair trial because the jury should have been from not Door County. Because the prosecution said that the jury was made a... They said that it was fair. They said that the jury...
You also samurai sworded your friend.
Huh?
Like, you also samurai sworded your friend, so I feel like anyone's probably going to say you're guilty of that.
Right? Like, doy. So, the defense argued that Ozone was acting in self-defense. But from what I read, John was unarmed.
And laughing.
And thought it was a joke. And, like, what could he have possibly had that was more intimidating than a goddamn samurai sword?
Right.
They also... argued that it was an unfair trial because the jury should not have been from Door County because they were biased, but the prosecution said that the jury that was made up of 7 men and 5 women were chosen specifically because they were unbiased.
Okay.
Or at least seemed to be. You obviously never know.
You never know.
You never know. Ozone was sentenced to life in prison, and after several appeals, the judge ruled once and for all that Ozone received a fair trial and his sentence would indeed be upheld and spend the rest of his life in jail. I don't know which jail, but
I don't know what jail I would go to.
Terry Vogel is a constant between me and Morgan's story.
Well, he was the sheriff in Door County when all this shit was happening.
Yeah, he's still the Door County sheriff.
No, I think
shout out to Terry Vogel. You think he retired?
He did retire. That's what that article
was about.
Yeah, is him retiring.
Well, anyway, shout out to Terry Vogel because he worked on the Dellis case and he worked on Ozone's.
Yeah.
And he said that violent crime...
He did a lot of stuff, because he did a lot of Green Bay stuff, too. Because I read a lot of the shit that he had done.
Yeah, he says that violent crime...
I just want to talk about this one thing, because I almost reported it, or almost did a story on it, but then it was Green Bay, so I took it out. There was this, he said, literally wrote in the article, he's like, I can still remember when this woman, I forget her name, but she wrote a book... literally about the fact that she killed her baby.
Yeah, I read about that.
Her 10-month-old, and he said, I can still remember, like, having to cuff her when her hands were bloody and watching her write her confession with bloody hands.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, so he fucking... But he the way, like, that article was written, it seems like he really did enjoy his work. Like, he was like, it was thrilling. So,
and
that's cool.
And also, something cool... It was literally from the Gazette Press, but the online version now. Because the Gazette Press, the Green Bay Gazette...
They're
the
really...
Green Bay Gazette Press is
like,
really
progressing with the times.
I feel like this was not only a journey of murders in Door County, but also a journey of...
The Gazette.
The Green Bay... I mean,
and
it's Door County, but
Vogel's
Green Bay...
career.
And Bogle.
I mean, he was around in, like, the 40s. Obviously, he was, like, a child then. But...
Yeah, and Bogle. So Morgan has... Not like a murder, but like an interesting story.
Yeah, it's just another little story we're going to talk about. These are the Peninsula Center fires. So this happened in December of 1998, and they happened until May of 1999. So barely 2 years after the anxiety of the Dellis search, so the guy that I did my story on, who We are all
so
there
they're
waiting.
fresh scared.
Yeah. Door County was again gripped by fear, this time over the possibility that a serial arsonist was on the loose.
That's
Within
scary.
a matter of months, fires leveled the new Stone's Throw Winery and Old Peninsula Pub. Then, in May of 1999, a storage building behind the winery went up in flames as well. The first two blazes were called probable electrical fires by investigators, but the third one was clearly set on purpose because the building had neither wiring nor stored combustibles, and the fire burned extraordinarily hot, which meant there was probably paper in there.
Yes.
Because paper is the hottest fires. That's why 9/11 was so fucked up. The mystery...
Oh, yeah, because those buildings are just fire.
deepened when a possible suspect, Daniel Wolfe of Bailey's Harbor, was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot at the Peninsula Center crossroads. Police ruled it a suicide. But, who knows?
Yeah.
Could have been a fire arsonist. Maybe he thought that, like, Dellis was punk, and so he was trying to be punk, too. Who knows? The 90s were crazy, you guys.
Yeah. And
especially in Door County.
What Morgan just read is from Key to the Door Weekly.
Yeah.
Published by the Door County Advocate.
Yes.
I just wanted to give them a shout out.
Give them that shout out.
I wanted to give them that shout out.
So this was the Door
Advocate.
Countiest episode ever.
Yeah, and also, we didn't really mention which towns exactly happened, but I'm sure that they, like...
I mean, a lot of stuff happened in, like...
I'm sure they hung out with friends who were hey, man, or I can't do it at Wisconsin. Hey, man, want to go up to our friend up in Egg Harbor?
Let's go to Egg Harbor and go to Shipwrecked.
Let's go to Shipwrecked and get shit-faced. So that's been our Door County episode. Door County's weird.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Probably the final part.
Yeah, Door County is weird, the end.
And
we promise this time, not like Saw.
Seriously.
The next episode is called Door County is Weird. Haha, just kidding.
Fuck you. No, the next episode, you guys, I think you're going to be really excited for. So we're going to wait until you're going to wake up to that little notification on your little, whatever you listen to podcasts on that says you have a new episode and that it's episode 50 of the Sisters Grim podcast. And you'll have a little treat.
Yeah, a hologram of Morgan and I are going to come out. We're going to give you little butterfly kisses
We're going to
you up.
It'll be like in Star Wars, so we're going to be in like those outfits.
No, I was thinking more Tupac at Coachella, but we'll both be like, help us, Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
You're our
seriously.
only hope. And then we'll bend down and touch R2.
And then we'll hit play on your phone.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys will like it. We have a lot of fucking information, and we have a lot of access to some of these if we're giving away. And I have a
lot of easy access because of the location in which we reside.
And that is how we are going to leave the cliffhanger.
And we promise this time that next episode is 50.
Yeah, no.
If it's not, sorry.
It's 59.1 or
.org.
59.1.5. All right, bye y'all.
Bye you guys.